Hi, my name is Thane, and I'm in beautiful Rocky Mountain National Park. It's a snowy, blustery day in April right now. I just went for a backcountry ski, and I thought I'd show you how to make some easy backcountry meals you can use on your backpacking trips or even just car camping. They're real simple. Doesn't require refrigeration or anything like that. These are actually all with dried vegetables, vegetarian. All this is actually organic too. But you can see my meals usually come out like this. I save these bags from Whole Foods and a little plastic bag for a spice sack. But you see this one's actually a coconut curry. You can see the layers of rice. I have some black bean spaghetti in this one, some carrots, and some other dried veggie. But normally, yeah, I just put in whatever I feel like during the day as far as spices and whatnot. But one of these coconut curries is actually one of my more popular dishes, and I'll probably show you that in a different video. So yeah, to get started, what I've got here is some quinoa, and this is actually Trader Joe's organic red quinoa. The red quinoa takes a little bit longer to cook than the white quinoa, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter too much. So I'm going to do a half a cup of that, and what I'll do is actually put it in a bag like I was going to go backpacking or something, even though I'm in my van right now. So I'll do half a cup of that quinoa. And then for this one, I'm going to use sprouted mung beans. And these are really good. Sprouted beans and whatnot are easier to digest, and they say they're a little bit better for you too, and the nutrients and protein are more readily available to you. I get these from natural grocers. Sometimes Whole Foods has them. You can get them online too. But that, I'll do maybe 2/3, 3/4 of a cup. And we'll put that in there. And one of my favorite ingredients is actually these dried carrots. They're organic carrots I get from natural grocers. They really, I don't know, they really make any dish you cook a lot sweeter and a lot more flavorful. So what I'll do is just put a whole little small handful of that in there. I don't know what that equates to, like a 1/10 of a cup or something. And then today I have, let's see, I have some mushrooms that my friend dried for me. They just dehydrated them for me. So I'll just throw a bunch of those in there. These are just, I don't even know, generic supermarket mushrooms. But a lot of times I'll put shiitake mushrooms in. Those are pretty easy to find dried. And he actually made some dried, I don't know, golden tomatoes or something. But I'll just throw some of those in there. And for spices, what I usually like to do, part of the reason I like to make my own dishes is a lot of those pre-made bags, I don't know, they have like 100, sometimes 150% of your sodium. So I use this is just fine sea salt, and I do about 1/3 of a teaspoon, and I'll put it in my spice sack. You can see I reuse all my bags probably 20-50 times, and they're also turmeric stained because I use a lot of turmeric. And then we will do probably like maybe 1/5 of a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. I like it a little spicy, but maybe even sometimes 1/3 of a teaspoon, but that's up to you. And you could certainly use your measuring cup or measuring spoon. And so today I'll do a little bit of ginger, maybe 1/5 of a teaspoon of ginger. And then this is coriander. I'll do maybe about the same, 1/5 of a teaspoon. Obviously this isn't exact, I'm using 1/3 of a teaspoon, but it really doesn't need to be that precise. I think if you asked your grandma or one of your favorite cooks, they never really measure out stuff. They just say, oh, just a pinch. So, yeah, if you're going to put maybe 1/3 teaspoon of fenugreek. To me, fenugreek isn't really, I don't know, sometimes, especially if you use the fenugreek seeds, it gives a bitterness to a dish, especially if the fenugreek isn't cooked properly. But it actually is quite good for your health, and for men it will actually raise their testosterone and stuff if you need that. And then I'll do 1/3 a teaspoon of cumin. And what's really cool is a lot of these spices have medicinal qualities. A lot of them are antimicrobial, antibacterial. A lot of them will help your blood pressure, things like that. I usually put garlic in this. I'll usually cut up a fresh clove of garlic. I just don't have one right now. Garlic was even used by, I believe, like the Romans as a actual performance enhancer. Although after talking about the fenugreek and garlic, you might think I'm trying to dope, but not really. But when you're an athlete, a little bit of this here and there, it helps. So I'm going to put maybe what would be equivalent to like a pinch of chili pepper seeds. I don't know, it's like maybe 1/5 or 1/6 of a teaspoon, just to give it a little bit more kick. Obviously you can put more or none in, depending on how much you like spicy stuff. And a lot of times I'll put this coconut milk powder. This I also get from Natural Grocers or from Whole Foods. And it's not available at all the stores, but you can also get it online. But this is amazing. Like, this will make any dish much creamier, much more rich and flavorful. So I don't know, maybe I'll just add some of that, even though it seems like almost all of my dishes end up being coconut curries or something like that. But yeah, we didn't put any turmeric in this one, so I can't really call it a coconut curry, at least. So that's about it. You got your spice sack there. Sometimes what I'll do, if I'm doing like a week-long backpacking trip, I'll just take a little clove of garlic and put it in each bag, and then I'll just chop it up with a knife or whatnot and throw it in the pot while I'm cooking it. So let's clear this off a little bit. So if you throw this in, we've got kind of a mushroom, mung bean, quinoa dish, whatever you want to call it. And you just take the air out of it, and you're set to go. It's pretty compact, as you can see. And what I like about it is I actually cook this, and if you have a really efficient stove, it's not that big of a deal. Honestly, when I did the John Muir Trail, I was cooking both my lunch and my dinner like this, because it's not as simple as, say, like, I don't know, a Mountain House dish or something like that, where you boil the water, then just let it sit. I'm actually cooking it, so you're keeping it in the pot for maybe 15-20 minutes, so that could run down your fuel. But like I was saying, I did the John Muir Trail, cooked lunch and dinner, and basically I was getting maybe 14 days out of one of these 8-ounce canisters, so I think that was pretty good. And at least when my dish comes out, it's still hot. It hasn't been sitting with hot water in it for like 10-15 minutes and cooled off, and I don't know, I just think they taste better when I make them myself, but that's debatable. So anyway, this is a Primus stove. I really like these especially for car camping, because it's a 1 liter and it's pretty wide, so if I want to put fresh vegetables or whatever in it, I don't know, you have so much more space. I also have a Jetboil Minimo, and that is a little bit narrower, but it's wide for one of these stoves, so that also gives you a lot of just, I don't know, room to angle stuff in, or not have to try to turn over stuff and just make a mess everywhere. So when you get to the trail, you just pull this out of your backpack. You can just dump pretty much everything in. And then what I'll do is, the usual rate for rice and quinoa is 2 to 1. So I had half a cup in there. That means 1 cup of water. And then for those mung beans, the sprouted mung beans, usually they, to me, cook at about a 1-to-1 rate. So another 3/4 a cup. So total 1 3/4 cups. And obviously, I'm at 8,000 or 9,000 feet right now of altitude, and it really just depends, you know, on a lot of factors, how much water you're going to use. It might be a 1/4 cup either way, but that at least gives you an idea. So what we'll do is just cover it up and light it up. And when you're in a band, you might want to ventilate. I don't think this stuff is that great to breathe, but yeah, we'll let it go on. What I usually do is I'll either put the spice sack in immediately or maybe 5 minutes in. So now that I've started it, just to show you, not that I need to explain dumping a spice sack in, but I think you get it. We'll just dump that in there, and we'll bring it to a boil, and then we'll just lower the heat down to just a simmer for the rest of the time, a really low simmer. Usually I'll try to get it so low that I can barely see the flame. But yeah, we'll just see how it turns out. Okay, it looks like this is coming to a rolling boil, so I am going to start turning down the heat. Probably took, I don't know, 1-2 minutes to do this. I don't ever put the heat on full blast. I don't think it's necessary. I'm never in that much of a rush. But anyway, you can see my van's kind of in an angle right now, so I'm going to take this Tupperware and prop it up just a little bit. Kind of level it out. So yeah, we're just going to keep lowering it down. I'm going to cover it and probably put it even lower so you can barely see the flame. If it's real windy out, you might have to cover it, or some of your stoves probably have windscreens. But that's just how I do it. Or I'll find a rock and try to get it out of the crazy wind. So, alright, we'll see how it turns out again. Alright, so in the end, it took about 20 minutes to cook this. I let it sit for an extra 5, but it's smelling pretty good. I already ate half of it, actually. Normally, like I said, it would take less time with white quinoa, rice, something like that, and that's normally what I would cook with while backpacking, but I had red quinoa and had to use it up, and I'm in the van, so it didn't really matter. But anyway, it's smelling real good, and you can check it out here.